All right, let's wrap up this chapter by talking about XML namespaces and why they're used. XML namespaces have the form of the letters XML-NS and then equal to some character string. And if you've used HTML before, you've probably seen this. It usually appears on the HTML tag. Now, the character string that goes inside that XML-NS attribute just has to be unique. It's usually a URL, but it doesn't have to be. The spec says it just needs to be unique. And in fact, the XML parser doesn't even try to access whatever is at that URL. So why do you use XML namespaces? XML namespaces are used to prevent tags from different languages from conflicting with each other when you try to use them in the same XML document. Remember, X in XML stands for extensible, so I can define my own tags. Now, if I want to create an XML document that includes tags from different tag sets, there's the potential for someone using the same name for a tag that I've decided to use in my tag set. So let's take a look at an example. Suppose I have an HTML file with a table in it, right? And HTML tables have things like table rows and table cells. They're used to lay out tabular data. However, if I create an XML document and I work for, say, a furniture company, to me, a table means something completely different, right? I'd have a table, and my table definition for furniture might have a type. It's going to have a price, material, how many I have in stock. Well, if I try to use my XML table inside my HTML table, that's going to cause problems, right? The browser is going to look at that table tag and say, wait a minute, what is type? What is price? I've never seen this before. So if we want to take the XML data from the furniture table and include it in our HTML file, we need a way to make sure that the two table tags don't collide with each other. That's where XML namespaces come in. So the way that you'd solve this is you define an XML namespace for your tag set. Now here on my HTML tag, I would have the XML-NS equals, and that's the XHTML namespace. And then that's followed by another namespace definition. In this case, I've got XML-NS : and then fern for furniture. And I'm pointing that at a URL that I just made up. I have no idea whether that actually exists or not, but I'm just illustrating an example here. Now, the first XML-NS definition, the one without the colon, is called the default namespace. Any tag that doesn't have a prefix in front of it is assumed to be in the default namespace. So here in the HTML document, if there's a tag that appears in HTML and there's no prefix, then the browser will just assume that that's part of the HTML definition. So here's how you would use this. Inside my HTML, I can define my table just like I always do, right? I have my table tag, my table row, my table cell. But now, in order to include the furniture table definition, I simply put the prefix fern in front of the tags that appear in my furniture table namespace. So you can see that that matches up with the XML namespace definition I included at the top of the file. So now when the browser comes across a tag that has the fern prefix in front of it, it's going to say, okay, well, I don't know what this is, but it's a well-formed tag and it's embedded in my content and I'll parse it, but I'm not going to try to interpret it or figure out what to do with it. XML namespaces are used so that you can combine data from separate sources without having to worry about tag name collisions.